Where does all this escalation come from, and why is it happening right now?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's being deemed a serious escalation because it's thought to be the first time since the whole Syrian civil war erupted 2011 that you've had a U.S. coalition fighter plane downing a Syrian regime plane over Syria. So a big deal here. But it is, as you said, part of an escalation we've been seeing. It's the latest, and if you want to say, is really a string of incidents in which U.S. coalition forces have targeted both Syrian regime forces and their allies in Syria and their proxies. We've seen the U.S. targeting basically Iraqi and Lebanese pro-Syrian regime Shiite militia recently. We also saw the U.S. shooting down what they thought was an Iranian drone that had gotten a little too close to its own militia fighters, its Syrian militia fighters, while they were training in southeastern Syria. So it's all part of a pattern here, this being the most serious. And let me just say, even though it's an unrelated incident, Iran as well fired surface-to-surface missiles on Sunday from western Iran across Iraq into eastern Syria, into this same region. So we're seeing a lot of these tensions building because, as we know, this whole region has been extremely complex with this mosaic of countries. Why you've had Turkey, you've had Iran, you've had Iraq, you've had Syria, you've had Russia, you've had the Israel, you've had U.S., all with competing and vying and differing agendas, all in this very little patch of land. But it's happening at a crucial time. Eastern Syria, why is it strategically important? Well, it's that last sort of bit of territory that the Islamic State group, a lot of it's desert, that's true, still controls. And you could see it really on that map there. It's an oil-rich region, so it's obviously resource-rich, so a lot of people want to be able to have control of those resources. But more importantly, perhaps, or as importantly, you see Iraq. You don't see, right east of Iraq, Iran there. There are areas in that whole eastern region which could be seen as supply routes for ground forces, or Iranian militia, through Iraq, through Syria, and into Lebanon to support its own proxy forces. So an extremely strategic area, a last patch, a last battleground, if you will, for the Islamic State group. So it's not a coincidence that we're seeing these incidents in this particular area and at this particular time.
And adding their voices to this whole in this escalation is, of course, the voice of Russia.
Yeah, and Russia, in no uncertain terms, has made its feelings known. Because what have we just said? Basically, this has been a conflict which, in varying shapes and forms, has been between the U.S.-backed Syrian rebels and basically the regime and its Iranian and Russian-backed militia. And it's remained. That has basically been the lowest common denominator in this conflict. Russia basically said right now that it is terminating. It has had a what they call a deconfliction mechanism in place with the United States, where they warn each other if their planes are going to collide or if there's going to be any incident over Syrian airspace. They're putting an end right now, at least according to the Russian Defense Ministry, to that cooperation. And what they're basically saying is, from Russia's point of view, Moscow is serving notice that any coalition aircraft, well, let's just say any aircraft that it doesn't know about or in the U.S. coalition that is flying west of the Euphrates River, perhaps we could bring back up that map just one more time. You could see where the Euphrates is. There it is, right in that Deir al-Zor region, right, the strategic region. Anything flying west of that is going to be considered, is going to be tracked by Russian radar. Doesn't mean it's going to be fired on. They're not going that far, but they will say it becomes a target that they are tracking. Those are pretty harsh words right now, and it does show that this is rising to a new level and also risks drawing the U.S. further into already one of the most complex conflicts we've seen in modern memory.
Douglas Herbert from our International Affairs Desk, thank you very much.